Want to learn your target language for free? Then get our language gifts of the month right now, before they expire. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the Going to the Movies conversation cheat sheet. With this new cheat sheet, you'll learn to say phrases like, "Does this have subtitles? When does the movie start?" and much more. Second, the How to Talk About Your Feelings PDF ebook. You'll learn over 90 words and phrases for feelings with this bonus PDF picture ebook. Download and review it on any device. Third, 30 must-know opposite adjectives. Learn how to say young and old, hot and cold, and much more. You'll pick up over 30 words with this vocab bonus. Fourth, can you talk about people's appearances? With this quick 1-minute lesson, you'll learn to describe others with words like tall, short, muscular, and much more. Fifth, want the language learning app that actually gets you speaking? Download Innovative Language 101 for free for the Android, iPhone, and iPad. You'll unlock hundreds of bite-sized audio and video lessons made by real teachers and start speaking in minutes. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master the language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, get up to 45% off our 6-month challenge sale. To get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the description below. Download them right now before they expire.
안녕하세요, 여러분. 김계진입니다. Hi everyone, I'm Kejin Kim. In this lesson, you'll learn how to give your phone number in Korean.
This is Mark Morris, and he's at City Hall registering his address. He bumps into an acquaintance who, after exchanging greetings, asks, "What's your phone number?"
전화번호가 뭐예요?
Listen to the conversation and focus on the response. Ready?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
Once more with the English translation.
전화번호가 뭐예요?
What's your phone number?
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
My phone number is 010-0123-4567.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how Mingyu says, "What's your phone number?"
전화번호가 뭐예요?
First is,
전화번호,
meaning phone number.
전화번호,
This starts with
전화,
phone.
전화, 전화.
Next is
번호,
number.
번호, 번호.
Together, it's
전화번호,
phone number.
전화번호.
Remember this because you'll see it again in Mark's response. Next is
가,
the subject marking particle.
가, 가,
In this sentence,
가.
marks
전화번호,
telephone number as the subject of the sentence. Think of it as marking telephone number as the thing being talked about. Last is
뭐예요?
a polite, informal phrase meaning, "What is it?"
뭐예요?
First is
뭐,
what.
뭐, 뭐.
Next is
예요,
here. It's like the is in is it.
예요, 예요.
Here, the word It is understood from context.
예요,
Is from the verb
이다,
meaning to be.
이다,
Note,
예요,
follows words that end in vowels like
뭐,
together.
뭐예요?
What is it?
뭐예요?
Here, the question is formed by the rising intonation. Listen again.
뭐예요?
Altogether, it's
전화번호가 뭐예요?
this literally means phone number, what is, but translates as what's your phone number?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
Note, the your in your phone number is understood from the context of the two-person conversation. Omitting understood information is common in Korean. Remember this request. You'll hear it again later.
Let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember Mark's response? My phone number is 010-0123-4567.
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
First is
제,
my.
제.
This is the shortened form,
저,
the humble word for I, and
의,
meaning of. Together it's
저의,
my.
저의,
This is shortened to.
제,
Next, do you remember the word for phone number?
전화번호,
Phone number.
전화번호,
Together,
제 전화번호,
my phone number.
제 전화번호,
Next is
는,
the topic marking particle.
는.
It marks my phone number as the topic of the sentence. Think of it like as for in the expression as for my phone number. Next is Mark's phone number.
010-0123-4567.
Notice how Mark says his phone number. First, he says each number independently. Second, in Korean, hyphens are either omitted or read. For this lesson, we'll omit hyphens and indicate spaces after a group of numbers with a pause mid-speech.
010-0123-4567.
Last is,
이에요.
in this case, it's like the is in my phone number is.
이에요.
Is a form of the verb
이다.
to be. Note,
이에요.
follows words that end in consonants like.
7.
Altogether, it's
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
This literally means, as for my phone number, 010-0123-4567 is. But it translates as, my phone number is 010-0123-4567.
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
The pattern is
제 전화번호는 phone number 이에요.
my phone number is phone number.
제 전화번호는 phone number 이에요.
To use this pattern, simply replace phone number with your phone number. Imagine your phone number is
02-0123-9876 02-0123-9876
Say, my phone number is 02-0123-9876.
제 전화번호는
02-0123-9876이에요.
My phone number is 02-0123-9876.
제 전화번호는
02-0123-9876이에요.
There are two versions of the subject marking particle. 가 follows words that end in a vowel, as in 전화번호. 이 follows words that end in a consonant, such as 칠. There are two versions of the topic marking particle. 는 follows words that end in a vowel, as in 전화번호. 은 follows words that end in a consonant. 칠. There are two polite forms of the verb 이다, to be. 예요 follows words that end in a vowel, such as 뭐. 이에요 follows words that end in a consonant, such as 칠.
Let's look at some examples of people giving their phone numbers. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
제 전화번호는
02-0123-9876이에요.
제 전화번호는 010-0703-9004예요. 제 전화번호는 02-0101-3434예요.
010-0789-6543-2예요. Did you notice I omitted 제 전화번호는? (010-0789-6543-2예요)
It's 010-0789-6543. When directly responding to a request, it's often possible to omit part of the response. Here, by simply giving your phone number, there's no need to include,
제 전화번호는
as for my phone number. The pattern is,
phone number 이에요.
it's phone number. You should be aware of this shortcut, but for this lesson, we'll use the pattern,
제 전화번호는 phone number 이에요.
my phone number is phone number.
제 전화번호는 phone number 이에요. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say phone number? 전화번호, 전화번호. And how to say my phone number? 제 전화번호, 제 전화번호. Do you remember how to say as for my phone number? 제 전화번호는, 제 전화번호는. Now, do you remember how Mark says, my phone number is 010 0123 4567?
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요.
제 전화번호는 010-0123-4567이에요. Do you remember the polite informal phrase meaning what is it? 뭐예요? 뭐예요? Do you remember Mingyu's request? What's your phone number?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
Let's practice. Imagine you're Karen Morris, and your phone number is
010-0877-0844.
respond to the request. Ready?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
제 전화번호는 010-0877-0844예요.
Listen again and repeat.
제 전화번호는 010-0877-0844예요. 제 전화번호는 010-0877-0844예요.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Ben Morris, and your phone number is
010-0891-2345.
ready?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
제 전화번호는 010-0891-2345예요.
Listen again and repeat.
제 전화번호는 010-0891-2345예요. 제 전화번호는 010-0891-2345예요.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Kaun Kim, and your phone number is
010-0703-9004.
ready?
전화번호가 뭐예요?
제 전화번호는 010-0703-9004예요.
Listen again and repeat.
제 전화번호는 010-0703-9004예요. 제 전화번호는 010-0703-9004예요.
안녕하세요, 여러분. 김계진입니다. Hi everyone, I'm Kejin Kim. In this lesson, you learn how to talk about your family.
This is Ben Morris, and he's at a coffee shop with his classmate, Kaun Kim. Ben is showing her some pictures. She points to one of them and asks, "Is this your family, Ben?"
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
Listen to the conversation and focus on the response. Ready?
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
네. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
Once more with the English translation.
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
Is this your family, Ben?
네. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
Yes, this is my father, mother, younger sister, and me.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how Kaun asks, "Is this your family, Ben?"
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
First is,
벤 씨,
meaning Ben.
벤 씨,
This starts with Ben's name in Korean.
벤, 벤, 벤,
After this is
씨,
a polite suffix attached to a person's name.
씨, 씨, 씨.
Is commonly used among people of equal social status, age, or position. This suffix can be used with any gender and can be attached to a person's given name or their full name, but not the last name alone. Together,
벤 씨,
Ben.
벤 씨,
Next is
의,
the possessive marking particle.
의, 의,
Think of
의.
as a way to indicate possession, like the apostrophe S in Ben's family. The word it follows possesses the thing that comes after it. In this sentence, it marks
벤 씨,
Ben as the possessor. Together,
벤 씨의,
translates as Ben's.
벤 씨의.
After this is
가족,
family.
가족, 가족.
Together,
벤 씨의 가족,
literally means Ben's family,
벤 씨의 가족.
but it translates as your family. In Korean, it's more common and polite to address a person by their name and polite suffix rather than directly with words like your or you. After this is,
이에요,
in this case, It's like the is in Is this your family?
이에요. 이에요. 이에요.
Is the polite spoken form of the verb,
이다.
meaning to be.
이다.
Note, there are two forms of the polite spoken form of the verb to be.
이에요.
Follows words that end in a consonant, like
가족.
altogether.
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
This literally means Ben's family. This is, but it translates as, Is this your family, Ben?
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
Remember this question. You'll hear it again later.
Let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Ben says, Yes, this is my father, mother, younger sister, and me?
네. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
There are two parts to the response.
네. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
The first part is,
네.
Yes.
네. 네.
It answers Kaun's yes-no question. Is this your family, Ben?
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
In the second part, Ben lists the different members of his family while pointing to each family member.
네. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
Yes, this is my father, mother, younger sister, and me.
네. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
First is
아버지,
literally father, but it translates as my father in this context.
아버지, 아버지,
Next is
어머니,
mother.
어머니, 어머니,
After this is
여동생,
younger sister.
여동생, 여동생,
Note,
여,
means female, and
동생,
means younger sibling. Combined,
여동생,
younger sister. Next is
저,
translating as me in this case.
저,
Finally,
예요,
in this case, it's like the is in this is.
예요, 예요, 예요,
Is from the verb
이다,
meaning to be.
이다.
Note, there are two forms of the polite spoken form of the verb to be.
예요,
Follows words that end in a vowel, like
저,
altogether.
아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
This literally means father, mother, younger sister, me, this is. But it translates as this is my father, mother, younger sister, and me.
아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
Note, this is understood from context, as the speaker is answering a question about the group of people in the picture. In addition, this Korean sentence doesn't include a specific word meaning my, as here it's understood from context as the speaker is answering a question. The pattern is
family member, family member, family member, 저예요.
this is my family member, family member, family member, and me. To use this pattern, simply replace family member with each of your family members. Imagine you are Sasha Morris, and your family members are your mother, your father, your older brother, and you.
오빠,
Older brother.
오빠, 오빠.
Say, this is my mother, father, older brother, and me. Ready?
어머니, 아버지, 오빠, 저예요.
This is my mother, father, older brother, and me.
어머니, 아버지, 오빠, 저예요.
Did you notice how Sasha calls her older brother 오빠? In Korean, there are two words for older sister and two words for older brother. The word used depends on the gender of the younger sibling. For younger sisters, older brother is 오빠 and older sister is 언니. 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 For younger brothers, older brother is 형. 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 And older sister is 누나. 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 For elder siblings, younger sibling is 동생. Younger sister is 여동생. And younger brother is 남동생. 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 In the conversation, Ben says 여동생, younger sister.
Let's look at some more examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
어머니, 아버지, 오빠, 저예요. 어머니, 아버지, 오빠, 저예요.
아버지, 어머니, 누나, 저예요. 아버지, 어머니, 누나, 저예요.
아버지, 어머니, 언니, 남동생, 저예요. 아버지, 어머니, 언니, 남동생, 저예요.
부모님, 오빠, 저예요. 부모님, 오빠, 저예요. Did you notice how I replaced 어머니, 아버지 with 부모님, parents? 부모님, 오빠, 저예요.
These are my parents, older brother, and me. First is
부모님,
parents.
부모님, 부모님, 부모님.
Means parents, but it translates as my parents in the context of answering the question. You should be aware of this word, but you won't need it for this lesson. Let's review the key vocabulary.
오빠,
Older brother, as said by younger sisters.
오빠, 오빠. 언니,
Older sister, as used by younger sisters.
언니, 언니. 형,
Older brother, as used by younger brothers.
형, 형. 누나,
Older sister, as used by younger brothers.
누나, 누나. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say yes? 네. 네. And how to say me? 저. Do you remember how Ben says younger sister? 여동생. And how to say mother? 어머니. Do you remember how to say father? 아버지. Do you remember how Ben says, yes, this is my father, mother, younger sister, and me?
네. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요.
네. 아버지, 어머니, 여동생, 저예요. Do you remember how to say family? 가족. And how Colin addresses Ben? 벤 씨. Do you remember how to say Ben's family? 벤 씨의 가족. And do you remember how Colin asks, is this your family, Ben?
벤 씨의 가족이에요?
벤 씨의 가족이에요? Do you remember how a younger sister says older brother? 오빠. And how a younger sister says older sister? 언니. Do you remember how a younger brother says older sister? 누나.
Let's practice. Imagine you're Sasha, Ben's younger sister. Respond to your friend's question referring to the photo. Don't forget to include the word for yes at the beginning of your response. Ready?
사샤 씨의 가족이에요? 네. 아버지, 어머니, 오빠, 저예요.
Listen again and repeat.
네. 아버지, 어머니, 오빠, 저예요. 네. 아버지, 어머니, 오빠, 저예요.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Ji-hoon Jeon, Ben's classmate. You have a father, mother, and an older sister. Ready?
지훈 씨의 가족이에요?
네. 아버지, 어머니, 누나, 저예요.
Listen again and repeat.
네. 아버지, 어머니, 누나, 저예요. 네. 아버지, 어머니, 누나, 저예요.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Kaun Kim, Ben's classmate. You have a father, mother, older sister, and a younger brother. Ready?
가은 씨의 가족이에요?
네. 아버지, 어머니, 언니, 남동생, 저예요.
Listen again and repeat.
네. 아버지, 어머니, 언니, 남동생, 저예요. 네. 아버지, 어머니, 언니, 남동생, 저예요.
안녕하세요, 여러분. 김계진입니다. Hi everyone, I'm Kejin Kim. In this lesson, you learned how to talk about your family from a parent's perspective.
This is Karen Morris, and she's studying with her Korean teacher, Son Hyung Shim. The teacher notices a picture on Karen's computer and asks, "Is this your family, Karen?"
카렌 씨 가족이에요?
Listen to the conversation and focus on the response. Ready?
카렌 씨 가족이에요?
네. 남편, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
Once more with the English translation.
카렌 씨 가족이에요?
Is this your family, Karen?
네. 남편, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
Yes, this is my husband, son, daughter, and me.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how the teacher asks, "Is this your family, Karen?"
카렌 씨 가족이에요?
First is,
카렌 씨,
meaning Karen.
카렌 씨,
This starts with Karen's name in Korean.
카렌, 카렌, 카렌,
After this is
씨,
a polite suffix attached to a person's name.
씨, 씨, 씨,
Is commonly used among people of equal social status, age, or position. This suffix can be used with any gender and can be attached to a person's given name or their full name, but not the last name alone. Together,
카렌 씨,
Karen.
카렌 씨,
After this is
가족,
family.
가족, 가족,
Together
카렌 씨 가족,
means Karen's family, but it translates as your family.
카렌 씨 가족,
In Korean, it's more common and polite to address a person by their name and polite suffix, rather than directly with words like your or you. After this is,
이에요,
in this case, it's like the is in "Is this your family?"
이에요, 이에요, 이에요,
Is the polite spoken form of the verb
이다,
meaning to be.
이다.
Note, there are two forms of the polite spoken form of the verb to be.
이에요,
Follows words that end in a consonant, like
가족.
altogether it's.
카렌 씨 가족이에요?
This literally means, Karen family this is? But it translates as, is this your family?
카렌 씨 가족이에요?
Remember this question. You'll hear it again later.
Let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Karen says, yes, this is my husband, son, daughter, and me?
네. 남편, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
There are two parts to the response. The first part is,
네,
yes.
네, 네.
It answers the teacher's yes-no question. Is this your family? In the second part, Karen lists the different members of her family while pointing to each family member.
남편, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
This is my husband, son, daughter, and me. First is
남편,
husband, but it translates as my husband in this context.
남편, 남편.
After this is
아들,
son,
아들, 아들.
next is
딸,
daughter,
딸, 딸.
next is
저,
translating as me in this case.
저.
Finally,
예요,
in this case, it's like the is in this is.
예요, 예요, 예요.
Is from the verb
이다,
meaning to be.
이다.
Note, there are two forms of the polite spoken form of the verb to be.
예요,
Follows words that end in a vowel, like
저.
altogether.
남편, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
Which literally means husband, son, daughter, me, this is. But it translates as, this is my husband, son, daughter, and me.
남편, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
Note, this is understood from context, as the speaker is answering a question about the group of people in the picture. In addition, this Korean sentence doesn't include a specific word meaning my, as here, it's understood from context, as the speaker is answering a question. Again,
남편, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
the pattern is
family member, family member, family member, 저예요.
this is my family member, family member, family member, and me. To use this pattern, simply replace family member with each of your family members. Imagine your family members are your wife, your son, your daughter, and you.
아내,
Wife,
아내, 아내.
say, this is my wife, son, daughter, and me. Ready?
아내, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
This is my wife, son, daughter, and me.
아내, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
In the conversation, the teacher says, 카렌 씨 가족, which translates as Karen's family, but literally means Karen family. The possessive marking particle, 의, which will follow 카렌 씨, Karen, is omitted as is understood from context. Think of 의 as a way to indicate possession, like the apostrophe s in Karen's family. The word it follows possesses the thing that comes after it. The phrase including 의 is as follows. 카렌 씨의 가족. 의 marks 카렌 씨, Karen, as the possessor. However, in spoken Korean, the possessive marking particle 의 is often omitted. 카렌 씨의 가족 becomes 카렌 씨 가족, as seen in the dialogue.
Let's look at some more examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
남편, 아들, 딸, 저예요. 남편, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
아내, 아들, 딸, 저예요. 아내, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
아내, 딸, 저예요. 아내, 딸, 저예요.
남편, 아들, 저예요. 남편, 아들, 저예요. 남편, 아들 둘, 저예요. 남편, 아들 둘, 저예요.
Did you notice how the last speaker says the number of sons?
남편, 아들 둘, 저예요.
This is my husband, 2 sons, and me.
아들 둘,
2 sons.
아들 둘,
First is
아들,
son.
아들,
Next is the native Korean number
둘,
2.
둘, 둘,
It follows
아들,
son and is used to indicate the number of sons. To say 2 daughters,
딸 둘,
2 daughters.
딸 둘.
You should be aware of this pattern, but you won't need it for this lesson.
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say yes? 네. 네. And how to say me? 저. Do you remember how to say daughter? 딸. And how to say son? 아들. Do you remember how to say husband? 남편. Do you remember how Karen says Yes, this is my husband, son, daughter, and me.
네. 남편, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
네, 남편, 아들, 딸, 저예요. Do you remember how to say family? 가족, 가족. And how to say Karen's name in Korean? Karen, Karen. Do you remember how the teacher addresses Karen? 카렌 씨, 카렌 씨. Do you remember how 선영 asks, "Is this your family, Karen?"
카렌 씨 가족이에요?
카렌 씨 가족이에요? Do you remember the word for wife? 아내, 아내.
Let's practice. Imagine you're Mark's colleague, Sang-hoon. You have a wife and a daughter. Respond to Mark's question referring to the photo. Don't forget to include the word yes at the beginning of the response. Ready?
상훈 씨 가족이에요?
네. 아내, 딸, 저예요.
Listen again and repeat.
네. 아내, 딸, 저예요. 네. 아내, 딸, 저예요.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Mark Morris. You have a wife, a son, and a daughter. Ready?
마크 씨 가족이에요?
네. 아내, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
Listen again and repeat.
네. 아내, 아들, 딸, 저예요. 네. 아내, 아들, 딸, 저예요.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Mark's friend, Hyung-suk Hwang. You have a husband and son. Ready?
현숙 씨 가족이에요?
네, 남편, 아들, 저예요.
Listen again and repeat.
네, 남편, 아들, 저예요. 네, 남편, 아들, 저예요.
안녕하세요, 여러분. 김계진입니다. Hi everyone, I'm Kejin Kim. In this lesson, you learn how to greet someone at different times of the day.
This is Seon Yong Sim. the Morris family's Korean teacher. Her schedule for the day is Mark Morris at 9 a.m., Karen Morris at 12 p.m., Ben Morris at 6 p.m. Listen to the greeting exchange between the three pairs. Pay attention to the time of day.
선생님, 안녕하세요.
마크 씨, 안녕하세요.
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 선생님, 안녕하세요.
벤, 안녕.
Once more with the English translation.
선생님, 안녕하세요.
Hello, teacher.
마크 씨, 안녕하세요.
Hello, Mark.
안녕하세요.
Hello.
안녕하세요.
Hello.
선생님, 안녕하세요.
Hello, teacher.
벤, 안녕.
Hi, Ben.
Let's take a closer look at each of these expressions.
In the first conversation, do you remember how Mark says, Hello, teacher?
선생님, 안녕하세요.
First is
선생,
teacher.
선생, 선생,
After this is the honorific suffix.
님,
It is used to address people of higher social status. It can be attached to the name or occupation of the person.
님, 님,
Together
선생님,
is a common and polite way to address teacher, but in more natural English, Miss Sim, the teacher's last name.
선생님,
Note, in Korean, it is common to address people by title plus honorific suffix rather than their name, such as
선생님,
teacher, like in the dialogue, and
사장님,
boss, president. Next is
안녕하세요,
hello.
안녕하세요, 안녕하세요,
Note,
안녕하세요,
is from the verb
안녕하다,
meaning to be peaceful, well.
안녕하다,
Literally,
안녕하세요,
means something like be well or please be well. Note,
안녕하세요,
is the most common greeting in Korean and can be used at all times of the day. It can translate as hello, good morning, good afternoon, etc., depending on the context. You can use this phrase with someone who you are familiar with or unfamiliar with and at all speech levels. Altogether,
선생님, 안녕하세요,
literally, teacher, hello, and in more natural English, hello, Miss Sim.
선생님, 안녕하세요.
Do you remember the teacher's response? Hello, Mark.
마크 씨, 안녕하세요.
There are two parts to this response. First is
마크 씨,
meaning Mark.
마크 씨,
This starts with Mark's name in Korean.
마크, 마크, 마크.
After this is
씨,
a polite suffix attached to a person's name.
씨, 씨, 씨.
Is commonly used among people of equal social status, age, or position. This suffix can be used with any gender and can be attached to a person's given name or their full name, but not the last name alone. Together,
마크 씨,
Mark.
마크 씨.
Next is
안녕하세요.
hello.
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요.
Altogether, it's
마크 씨, 안녕하세요.
literally Mark, hello, but in more natural English, hello, Mark.
마크 씨, 안녕하세요.
In the second conversation, which takes place at noon, do you remember how Karen says, hello? Hint, it's the same greeting as the one used in the morning.
안녕하세요.
Note that Karen only uses the greeting without the teacher title. It's perfectly acceptable to greet a teacher in this way.
안녕하세요.
Hello.
안녕하세요.
Sun Young's response is the same. Hello.
안녕하세요.
In the third conversation, which takes place in the evening at 6 p.m., do you remember how Ben says, hello, teacher? Hint, you've heard it before.
선생님, 안녕하세요.
Do you remember how the teacher says, hi, Ben?
벤, 안녕.
There are two parts to this response. First is Ben's name in Korean.
벤, 벤, 벤.
Note, there is no honorific suffix for Ben's name. Here, Ben is still a student, and this is a private lesson, so the teacher chooses to address Ben casually by omitting the honorific suffix and simply saying Ben's name. Next is
안녕,
hi.
안녕, 안녕,
Note,
안녕.
is an informal way to say hello, and it's used in informal situations and can be used by people of relative higher social status towards people of lower social status. However, it should not be used the other way around,
안녕,
which literally means being well, is used to mean hi or hello. It's a versatile phrase that can be used when greeting people in the morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Altogether, it's
벤, 안녕.
Ben, hi. But in more natural English, hi, Ben.
벤, 안녕.
Unlike other languages such as English or Japanese, where there are specific phrases used during different times of the day, Korean uses the same phrase at various times of the day. The phrase you use will depend on the speaker's relationship with the listener. The most common greeting, which can be used in formal and informal situations, is 안녕하세요. This is appropriate for almost all situations and should be your default greeting as a new learner. You can use it when speaking with people older than you, coworkers, and so on. In informal situations, or when speaking to someone who is in a less senior social position than yourself, you can also use 안녕. Just remember that if you want to play it safe, 안녕하세요 is the best option, as it's polite enough to address people of higher social status as well as people who are of lower social status. Let's look at the greetings once more. Listen and repeat or speak along with me. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 안녕. 안녕. 선생님, 안녕하세요. 선생님, 안녕하세요. 안녕하십니까? 안녕하십니까? Did you notice how I use a different phrase to say hello? 안녕하십니까? 안녕하십니까?
Is a formal way of saying hello.
안녕하십니까? 안녕하십니까? 안녕하십니까?
Is used in formal situations such as business meetings, speeches, and so forth, and can be heard in announcements and on the news. You should be aware of,
안녕하십니까?
as you'll hear this phrase during your Korean learning journey. However, you won't need it for this lesson.
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember the honorific suffix used to address someone of higher social status? 님, 님. And how to address a teacher? 선생님, 선생님. Do you remember the polite and most common way to say hello? 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. Do you remember how Mark says, "Hello, teacher"?
선생님, 안녕하세요.
선생님, 안녕하세요. Do you remember how to say Mark in Korean? 마크, 마크. And how the teacher addresses Mark? 마크 씨, 마크 씨. Do you remember how the teacher says, "Hello, Mark"?
마크 씨, 안녕하세요.
마크 씨, 안녕하세요. Do you remember the informal way to say hi? 안녕, 안녕. And how the teacher says, "Hi, Ben."
벤, 안녕.
벤, 안녕.
Let's practice. Imagine you're Ben, and you're attending your morning class. Respond by saying, "Hello, teacher." Ready?
벤, 안녕.
선생님, 안녕하세요.
Listen again and repeat.
선생님, 안녕하세요. 선생님, 안녕하세요.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Mark Morris and you're attending your afternoon class. Respond by saying, hello. Ready?
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
Listen again and repeat.
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요.
Let's try one more. Now imagine you're Sasha Morris and you meet your classmate. Respond by saying, hi, using informal Korean. Ready?
안녕.
안녕.
Listen again and repeat.
안녕. 안녕.
헬리콥터 helicopter 헬리콥터 헬리콥터 helicopter 헬리콥터 소리 때문에 아무것도 안 들려요. I cannot hear anything because of the sound of the helicopter. 헬리콥터 소리 때문에 아무것도 안 들려요. 검은 black 검은 black 검은색 티셔츠 입어도 돼요? Can I wear a black t-shirt? 검은색 티셔츠 입어도 돼요? 갈색 brown 갈색 brown 제 눈은 갈색이에요. My eyes are brown. 제 눈은 갈색이에요. 회색 gray 회색 gray 회색으로 주세요. Give me the gray one. 회색으로 주세요. 쉬다 rest 쉬다 rest 늦어서 쉬려고요. It's late, so I'm going to rest. 늦어서 쉬려고요. 듣다 hear 듣다 hear 잘 안 들려요. I cannot hear you clearly. 잘 안 들려요. 바라다 want 바라다 want 오늘 다른 것을 해보기를 바라고 있어요. I want to try something different today. 오늘 다른 것을 해보기를 바라고 있어요. 역겨운 disgusting 역겨운 disgusting 내 친구는 역겨운 음식을 좋아한다. My friend likes disgusting food. 내 친구는 역겨운 음식을 좋아한다. 11 11 11 11 11 이 백화점은 11층까지 있어요. This department store has 11 floors. 이 백화점은 11층까지 있어요. 12 12 12 12 12 12 나누기 2는 6이다. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 12 나누기 2는 6이다. 13 13 13 13 13 그는 13년 동안 갖은 고생을 배겨냈다. He put up with all sorts of hardship for 13 years. 그는 13년 동안 갖은 고생을 배겨냈다. 메일, 이메일, 메일, 메일, 이메일. 너 이메일 주소 알려줄래? Can you tell me your email address? 너 이메일 주소 알려줄래? 휴대폰, cellular phone, 휴대폰, 휴대폰, cellular phone. 거의 모든 지역에서 휴대폰으로 전화를 걸 수 있습니다. With a cellular phone, you can make calls from almost anywhere. 거의 모든 지역에서 휴대폰으로 전화를 걸 수 있습니다. 문자, text message, 문자, 문자, text message. 전화 통화 못하니까 문자로 이야기해요. I cannot talk on the phone, so let's talk through text messages. 전화 통화 못하니까 문자로 이야기해요. 입, mouth, 입, 입, mouth. 입을 크게 벌려봐. Open your mouth wide. 입을 크게 벌려봐. 볼, cheek, 볼, 볼, cheek. 볼을 깨물어서 염증이 생겼습니다. I bit my cheek, so I got an infection. 볼을 깨물어서 염증이 생겼습니다. 코, nose, 코, 코, nose. 코가 간지러워요. My nose is itchy. 코가 간지러워요. 공책, notebook, 공책, 공책, notebook. 공책 좀 빌려줘. Please lend me your notebook. 공책 좀 빌려줘. 연필, pencil, 연필, 연필, pencil. 연필은 상 뒤에 있어요. The pencil is behind the table. 연필은 상 뒤에 있어요. 지우개, eraser. 지우개, 지우개, eraser. 학생이었을 때 친구들과 지우개 게임을 자주 했습니다. When I was a student, I often played eraser games with my friends. 학생이었을 때 친구들과 지우개 게임을 자주 했습니다. 하얀, white. 하얀, 하얀, white. 새하얀 운동화를 샀어요. I've bought a white pair of tennis shoes. 새하얀 운동화를 샀어요. 빨간, red. 빨간, 빨간, red. 저기 빨간 벽돌집 보여요? Do you see that red brick house over there? 저기 빨간 벽돌집 보여요? 녹색, green. 녹색, 녹색, green. 맞아요. 이 셔츠는 3가지 다른 톤의 녹색이 있어요. That's right. We have these shirts in 3 different tones of green. 맞아요. 이 셔츠는 3가지 다른 톤의 녹색이 있어요. 끝나다, finish. 끝나다, 끝나다, finish. 수업은 몇 시에 끝나? When will your class finish? 수업은 몇 시에 끝나? 시작하다, start. 시작하다, 시작하다, start. 사업을 새로 시작했어요. I started a new business. 사업을 새로 시작했어요. 이 되다, become. 이 되다, 이 되다, become. 어떤 사람이 되고 싶어요? Who do you want to become? 어떤 사람이 되고 싶어요? 14, 14. 14, 14. 14. 그는 우리 집에서 약 14마일 거리에 살아. He lives about 14 miles away from my house. 그는 우리 집에서 약 14마일 거리에 살아. 15, 15. 15, 15. 15. 약 15분이 지나서야 친구는 나타났다. About 15 minutes later, my friend showed up. 약 15분이 지나서야 친구는 나타났다. 16, 16. 16, 16. 16. 우리 이제 16분 남았어. We have 16 minutes left. 우리 이제 16분 남았어. 전화, telephone. 전화, 전화. telephone. 전화 쓸 수 있어요? Can I use the telephone? 전화 쓸 수 있어요? 눈, eye, 눈, eye. 그 여자는 눈이 참 예뻐. She has really beautiful eyes. 그 여자는 눈이 참 예뻐. teeth, teeth. 이가 너무 아파요. My teeth hurt so much. 이가 너무 아파요. 입술, lip, lip. 그녀는 도톰한 입술로 유명합니다. She's very famous for having thick lips. 그녀는 도톰한 입술로 유명합니다. 복사기, copy machine. 복사기, copy machine. 복사기가 고장났어요. The copy machine is broke. 복사기가 고장났어요. 책상, desk. 책상, desk. 그 사람은 갑자기 책상을 내리쳤어요. He suddenly hit the surface of the desk. 그 사람은 갑자기 책상을 내리쳤어요. 책, book. book. 가방에 책을 넣었어요. I put my books in my bag. 가방에 책을 넣었어요. pen. 옷에 볼펜이 묻었어요. I got a pen stain on my clothes. 옷에 볼펜이 묻었어요. 우체국, post office. 우체국, post office. 이 거리에는 우체국이 있습니다. There is a post office in this street. 이 거리에는 우체국이 있습니다. 도서관, library. 도서관, library. 공공도서관에 갔어요. I went to the public library. 공공도서관에 갔어요. 슈퍼, supermarket. supermarket. 슈퍼에 사람이 너무 많아요. There are too many people at the supermarket. 슈퍼에 사람이 너무 많아요.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Monthly Review, the monthly show on language learning, where you discover new learning strategies, motivational tips, study tools, and resources. By the way, all the lessons and bonuses you're about to see can be downloaded for free on our website. So click the link in the description right now to sign up for your free lifetime account. Okay, today's topic is the first step in your language learning journey that will guarantee your success. If you have trouble sticking with your language learning goals, it's probably because you're skipping one specific step. It's the step you need to take before you even start any learning. And doing it will help you stick with the language, not get overwhelmed, and reach your language goals. So, today you'll learn 1. What solo language learners need to succeed, and 2. How to do self-assessment and set yourself up for success. But first, listen up. Here are this month's new lessons and resources. Be sure to download these now before we take them down in a few days. First, the Giving Directions Conversation Cheat Sheet. Do you know how to tell a taxi driver where to go in your target language? You'll be able to. With this PDF cheat sheet, you'll learn must-know words and phrases for giving directions. Second, the Most Common Verbs PDF ebook. You'll learn over 90 common verbs with this bonus PDF picture ebook. Download and review on any device. Third, how to talk about what you do in your free time. Learn how to say video games, fishing, and much more. You'll pick up over 25 words for leisure activities with this vocab bonus. Fourth, how to learn from home, learning strategies. Want to learn the language from the comfort of your home? This 1-minute lesson will give you all the best tactics for learning languages. Fifth, the top 35 adjectives for personalities. Can you describe your personality? This next bonus teaches you the 35 must-know adjectives for personalities, so you can talk about yourself in your target language. To get your free resources, click the link in the description below right now. They're yours to keep forever. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. The first step in your language learning journey that will guarantee your success. Here's a question for you. When you want to learn a language, how do you usually get started with that goal? You might say the inspiration comes first, and that motivates you to start. Then you get a textbook or an app and go from there, right? That's a pretty standard answer, but how does that tend to work out? Most people end up falling off a week or a month later. Why do you think that happens? Leave a comment with why you think people tend to lose inspiration quickly. More often than not, it happens because you pick a goal, a learning routine, or a resource that overwhelms you and just isn't right for you. Here's a typical example. Let's say you work an 8-hour day and you want to try to start learning. Most people would try to squeeze in learning for 1 or 2 hours at night, or you could try and wake up an hour early. And usually that doesn't work out because you're trying to do things that you're not used to. Wake up earlier and study earlier. It doesn't fit your current lifestyle. So what should you do differently? Well, let's take an example from language schools. Before you start learning, language schools force you to take an assessment test on the first day. Why? So that they make sure the language lessons fit your level and put you in the proper class. The goal of an assessment test is to find out where you are and meet you there. That's something most solo learners don't do. And the problem is, if you're a solo learner, no one assesses you. And you yourself don't know what routine works best for you, how much time you can set aside, and how much studying you can comfortably do. We all imagine we can do an hour a day, but realistically speaking, it'll be a lot less than that. So that's where self-assessment comes in. Before you start learning a language, or do any goal for that matter, it's important to know where you are in life, what your daily schedule is like, when you're busy and when you're free. So you can set your expectations, know how much time you can put in, and so you can start learning at a pace that works for you. Now, how do you actually assess yourself? There are 3 assessments you can do. 1, a life assessment. 2, a routine assessment. And 3, language assessment. Language assessment will only be helpful if you already have some experience. If you're brand new, you won't need this. First, life assessment. Here, the goal is to see how the language will fit into your life and how you generally deal with goals. As in, if you succeeded with a goal before, what helped you succeed? You could take that and apply it here. If you failed before, find out why so you can avoid it this time. So you'll need to answer the following questions. Why are you learning this language? How will it help your life? What current connections do you have to this language? For example, listening to music, watching TV, you have a relative, you have neighbors or friends that speak it. What have you been doing so far to learn? Have you learned languages before? Have you failed any goals before? How or why? Have you succeeded with any goals before? How or why? Write these questions out and answer them. Next, the routine assessment. Write out your daily routine for a whole week. For example, wake up at 7 a.m., breakfast at 8 a.m., commute to work at 8:30 a.m., arrive at work at 9:30 a.m., lunch at 1 p.m., and so on. Do this for every day of the week. The goal here is to see what your daily routine is like, so you know when you're free, when you're busy, and where you can fit in language learning. That way, if you're super busy on Mondays and 5 minutes is all you can do, then that's good enough. You won't feel bad about doing only 5 minutes. If you see that you spend 30 minutes on commuting, add language learning on top of that existing routine. If you take walks or go for a jog, play an audio lesson there. Or even if you're cooking at a certain time, play an audio lesson in the background. Remember, look for an existing routine that you already stick with, like commuting, and where you can multitask. Don't try to create new routines. For example, waking up at 7 a.m. to learn will set you up for failure. If you usually wake up at 8 a.m., waking up at 7 a.m. will be even harder. And then, actually trying to learn a language at 7 a.m. makes it even harder. This is where new learners start having trouble. You're trying to do two things at once, trying to learn the language and trying to stick to a new routine. One is hard enough. Trying to do two can overwhelm you. So piggyback off of your existing routines first, so you can build momentum. And finally, there's language assessment. If you're an absolute beginner, you won't need much of an assessment. Just start with our absolute beginner recommended learning pathway. But if you have experience and want to assess yourself, there are two things you can do. First, if you're a Premium Plus user, then you're asked to do an assessment test when you join, but you can always request it again from your teacher. And second, if you're a Premium user, check our recommended pathways. We assign these pathways, level 1 to level 5, based on your learning level, from absolute beginner to advanced. At the start of each pathway, there's a diagnostic test. You can take that to assess yourself. So thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. Next time, we'll talk about when routines grow stale, how to learn more language with a new routine. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. See you next time. Bye! What are some surefire ways to stay motivated when you're learning a language? In this video, we're going to talk about 10 surefire ways to stay motivated and stay on track. All right, we asked our Premium and Premium Plus members for their tested techniques. You'll find out what worked for them. Number 1, you must see your progress. In other words, you have to see it to believe it. There's nothing better than seeing your results firsthand. It's like seeing muscles in the mirror after working out. How do you do this with language? In order to see it, you have to start measuring it first. And you can do that with the dashboard on our website. With the dashboard, you can see how many lessons and how much of the language you've mastered so far. So review the progress you've made with the dashboard on the site. Number 2, use the Daily Dose of Language app. With this, you get free daily mini lessons, but that's not all. This app keeps you on track because it actually sends you daily reminders. If you need that extra push or reminder, this app does it for you. And the Daily Dose lessons are quick and easy. They take just 1 minute of your time. Number 3, learn with somebody better than you. A tutor, a friend, and you can even learn with your own teacher with a Premium Plus subscription. Simply having someone better than you by your side is enough to help you improve and motivate you. It's like having a coach. Number 4, set a small, measurable goal. For example, finish 10 lessons in 1 week, or learn 20 words in a week. Most people give up because they have a vague goal, like I want to be fluent, that they don't know how to reach. But if you aim small and make it measurable, you'll have a much better chance of reaching it. Your goal is to learn 20 words, and you know 17 already. Because you know how close you are, you're more motivated to close the gap and reach your goal. Number 5, watch movies and shows in your target language. First of all, we recommend this because it's fun. But more importantly, when you understand what you hear, it's a clear sign of progress, and you'll feel good about it. Number 6, listen to music in your target language. Music is enjoyable, and if you make it part of your routine, you're giving yourself a nice break in between lessons. But you're still immersing yourself in the language. So if you enjoy this routine, you're more likely to stay motivated. Number 7, do the lessons that you enjoy. Just like with music, if you enjoy our audio and video lessons, then stick with them. If you have any favorite lessons, remember you can always download them to your device and review them as much as you want. They're yours to keep. Number 8, understand that language learning is a marathon. Learning a new language is not a sprint. Most people think they can study for hours and suddenly get better. But when they realize that it takes time, this can hurt their motivation. So understand that it's a marathon. Remember that it's better to study for a few minutes every day than pulling a 5-hour cram session that will burn you out. Number 9, keep the big goal in mind. Imagine yourself being fluent. Small, measurable goals are definitely important. But when you just don't feel like learning, which is completely natural, by the way, remember the big goal. Having the big picture in mind will remind you of what's important and put you back on track. Number 10, invest in the language. Make a commitment. Whether you buy a book or a subscription, enroll in a class, or join a study group, by investing and making a commitment, you're much more likely to go through with it. You've paid for it, so you value it more. You want to make sure you get your money's worth. Plus, other people expect you to show up. This can be extremely helpful when working towards your language goals. And that's it. There are so many ways to keep yourself motivated. Do you have a favorite way? Leave us a comment and let us know. So, to make sure you stay motivated in your studies, just check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Want to speak and understand more of your target language? You'll need to know more words and phrases to really make new conversations and ultimately connections. In this video, you'll discover 6 ways to master new words and phrases fast. Number 1, use our free vocabulary lists. Here's what makes this study tool so powerful. This is your free library of vocab and phrase lessons. You can learn words and phrases for current events like Halloween or New Year's. There are also many useful topics, like the top 10 ways to say hello, conversational phrases, and more. In other words, you learn phrases that you wouldn't normally find in textbooks. And if you want to learn extra fast, you can use the slideshow tool. Just tap on or click on View Slideshow, then sit back and review the words and phrases. Find the vocabulary lists in the vocabulary drop-down menu on the site. And yes, these vocab lists are free for all users. Number 2, take the audio and video lessons. One of the best ways to learn new words is through conversations. You get to hear how the words are used. So in every lesson dialogue, you'll come across some words you don't know. But don't worry, because our teachers translate everything. So when you hear the conversation again at the end of the lesson, you'll know them all. Number 3, learn with our 2,000 most common words list. Here's a question for you. How many words do you think you need for conversational fluency? 3,000? 5,000? Actually, language experts say you need only about 1,500 to reach conversational fluency. And with this study tool, the 2,000 most common words list, you get the words you need for conversational fluency right up front. That's what makes this study tool so powerful. It's all here for you. And they're broken down into simple categories, such as adjectives, nouns, verbs, food, drinks, numbers, and months. Now, 2,000 is quite a lot to learn. Do you have to learn it all? Well, you don't have to learn it all at once. You can go category by category. You can also start with the top 100 words, then move on to the top 200, 300, and so on until you get to 2,000. So if you're an absolute beginner, you can start with the top 100 words. Once you've mastered those, you can move on to the next category. You can also use other study tools to learn these words faster, right? Such as number 4, study with spaced repetition flashcards. Now, we're not talking about paper flashcards. We're talking about the smart flashcards that you can find in our premium study tools. Picture this. Think of these as a teacher inside of your computer who quizzes you and sorts the words for you. So words that you struggle with, you'll be quizzed on more and more, and words that you know, you'll see less and less. So they display the words as needed, so you never forget them. In every session, they'll refresh your memory on the words you learned last time and introduce new ones. That's exactly how our smart flashcards work. And because you get drilled on the words you struggle with, you have no choice but to master them and improve. You have no choice but to succeed. You can also study the words from your lessons and vocab lists with the very same flashcard tool. Number 5, create printable word lists with the Word Bank. The Word Bank is a study tool that lets you save words and phrases from lessons and vocab lists. Think of it as your extended brain. If you come across a new word that you want to review later, you can save it to the Word Bank. But the Word Bank also lets you print out your word lists. So click on the printer-friendly option inside Word Bank and print out your collection of words. You can use that sheet for writing practice. Number 6, use the words. After you learn a new word, using it right away is crucial to remembering it. So when you're done with a lesson or a vocab list, leave a comment. Make up a sample sentence and post it in the comment section. Write it down in a notebook, or shadow it, meaning listen to the audio pronunciation and say it out loud. You should do this because it's the actual practice that gets you to remember it. So say it, write it, listen to it again. Doing this will help lock the words into your memory. So if you want to take advantage of any of these tools for yourself, just check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Are you studying a language but starting to lose motivation? In this video, we're going to talk about the halfway point and how to keep going with language learning. After 6 months to a year of studying a language, you might be feeling like you're losing a little bit of steam. Maybe you started out strong and now you're feeling a bit low. Maybe you aren't seeing the results you wanted, or you think your efforts aren't paying off. But the reason for that might not have anything to do with your studies. It might be more an issue about your reviewing and your goal setting. 1. Why you should review your past language goals. When you set goals, do you ever go back to review your progress? It can be a reminder of how far you've come and help you keep your motivation up. Let's say you started learning a language and you've been at it for a few months. In month 1, you're excited and motivated. In month 2, you're still going at it, but maybe the motivation is not as strong, and you want to make sure that you don't fall off, unfortunately, as most people do. So you work hard to keep at it. By month 3, you're kind of on autopilot and learning with whatever has been working for you. That sounds like a good place to be, cruising on autopilot. Well, it may seem like a good place to be, but the problem is by month 4, 5, or 6, if you've been coasting along for too long and haven't had any significant improvements, you may start wondering if you're actually learning or if you'll ever master the language. You might start losing motivation, and worse, you might even quit. If you're learning by yourself, it's hard, and if you're not tracking your progress, by month 4 or 5, you might realize that the textbook you've been using isn't helping you increase your fluency. You might think you're going nowhere. So the reason to review is to check your progress. Maybe you can speak none of your target language in month 1, but at the end of month 3, you can speak 3 minutes. So that's some progress. And if you're at 8 minutes now, for example, then you can definitely say that you've improved since the start. It's good for motivation, just knowing that you got a return on your time investment. So reviewing is good for progress and motivation. Also, it's natural to lose motivation with anything you're trying to learn or do. So it's something you need to keep up, something you need to keep in mind. What do you do when your motivation dips? You can stop, take some time to review and reflect. Is your motivation dipping? Are you studying less? Do you feel like you're not making progress? And if you say yes to these questions, then you can work on boosting your motivation to help you keep going. How do you boost your motivation? Well, do you remember anchor points? Anchor points are things that connect you or anchor you to your goal, such as a language class or program. It could even be relatives or friends who speak the language, TV shows in that language you like, or an upcoming trip to the target country. All of these things, in one way or another, keep you anchored to your language learning goal. So if you're watching a TV show in your target language, then it's natural for you to want to understand it better, and your desire to learn goes up. If you're taking language classes where a teacher expects homework from you, that's another connection to the language. So you do the homework, you attend classes, you learn more. Ultimately, if you want to boost your motivation and keep going, you should get more anchor points. But how do you do that? Let's jump into the second part. 2. How to review your progress and maintain motivation. How do you review your progress? First, you always set small, measurable goals and always track results. The study resource you're using can be used for your review as well. It's easy to get demotivated and think that you have learned nothing. But if you're using a textbook, for example, you can set a number of pages, and that can be a really good motivator, something to reach for. Making sure you're getting through and then testing yourself on material is a little harder if you're not actually using your textbook, though. So make sure that you actually stick to the plan you set for yourself. Again, the tool you're using is not so important, but just make sure whatever you use, you measure it and track your progress. Reviewing is as simple as looking at your past goals and results. You can also do it the old school way and look through your notebooks, see how much you've written out. In fact, we have something called the Dean's Date with our Premium Plus plan, where our Premium Plus users send in all of the work they've completed with their teacher. The writings, the recordings, the assignments, and you can see it all, everything that you've done. Then you can see your actual results of your 3 months of work. Everything you've accomplished is in one place. Do you ever run out of motivation? Of course you do occasionally, and it's natural for everyone's motivation to dip after some time. Then if you lose motivation, how do you keep going? Just as we talked about earlier, add more anchor points, more connections to the language, whether that means enrolling in in-person classes at a real language school, planning trips, or signing up for a test. Those anchor points help you stay motivated. Your main ones need to be things that will keep you interested in your target language or the people in your life connected to it. These are the things that will keep you motivated. But it's also important to remember, whether you're struggling or you're progressing rapidly, that you have to keep your learning adaptive. As humans, we are adaptive. We adapt to environments, and this is the same thing. Your language learning path has to adapt as you progress. If you're progressing faster, there's a way to adapt. If you're progressing slower, there's also a way to adapt. 3. How you can keep going past the halfway point. If you've been studying the language for a few months, it's normal to start losing steam. If you're not losing steam and you're progressing, then great job, and maybe you can share some of your tips with us, because it's one of the hardest things ever to stay motivated long term. If you are starting to lose steam, remember that this happens with any goal. It can happen to anyone at any time, so you need to learn how to adapt to it. By being aware that these dips are natural and that they happen, you can expect them. So when one does come around, you'll know how to boost your motivation and know how to keep yourself going. Here's what you do when a dip does come around. 1. Review your learning progress. If you've been setting small, measurable goals every month, then this won't be a problem. The goal here is to see how far you've come, and this will help you maintain motivation. If you can see that you learned 50 words in January, 50 in February, 100 in March, and so on, then you have measurable progress, and this lets you know that you're improving, even when you don't feel like you are. Second, if you're a Premium Plus student, you can also participate in the Dean's Date and submit your work on the deadline. Be sure to ask your Premium Plus teacher about it. Third, if you're a Premium or Premium Plus user, you can also check your dashboard and see how many flashcards you've studied and how many lessons you've completed. We track your progress for you. But of course, it's best to set goals like learn 50 words or speak 1 minute of conversation, because completing a lesson may not mean that you've mastered everything inside. So if you've not been setting goals and tracking them, now is the time to start. Otherwise, do you know how much of the language you can speak? Or how many words you've learned? If you don't know, then you'll feel like you're floating around and not learning anything. So be sure to set small, measurable monthly goals. Fourth, create more anchor points to boost your motivation. Anchor points are connections to the language that keep you anchored to the language and your goal. It could be friends or relatives who speak the language, TV shows in that language you like, an upcoming trip to the target country, language classes, or language programs. All of these things, in one way or another, keep you anchored to your language learning goal. So if you started learning a language because your relative speaks it, that motivation may not last forever. It may help you in month 1 or month 2, but by month 4, 5, or 6, your motivation might wear off. But you can decide to enroll in a class or start watching a TV show in that language. That will give you some new reasons to keep going to the language. In a way, you give yourself more reasons to learn. A lot of the time, the reasons why we start something are not often the reasons why we continue them. So don't be afraid to adjust your motivations as you go along. If you've reached a language milestone and are starting to feel a little less motivated, just take a look at these tips. Thorough review, setting anchor points, and reviewing your study methods will all help you keep going in your studies. For more strategies on how to keep studying, just check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.